She says, I'm coaching and mentoring individuals who desire to live empowered, fulfilling, and joyful life. That's a very nice saying. Certified life coach and holistic wellness coach, mentor for purposeful female leaders, women empowerment advocate. That's just like a very small brief introduction of my guest today. My name is Daniel Tukat and this is Monday Talks. So join me this time to welcome the beautiful Zoe Rizokosta. So Zoe, nice to have you. Good morning, good evening, or is it good afternoon? I don't know. How is it back there?
Yeah, I am based in Amsterdam, so it's still morning.
Yeah.
And good to be here, Daniel. Thank you so much for inviting me.
So all the way from Netherlands, we got connected through a common friend, and now we are here. So you can figure out what a small world indeed it is, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Nowadays, online and social media made it like no borders anymore. You can reach anywhere, anytime. So do you agree?
Yes, I totally agree. For me, it's a fascinating world that we're living today because I grew up at an age where internet did not exist when I was a child. So the only way to connect with people was to meet people around you or to send snail mails, like we say, written mails. And that was the way to connect, or travel, of course.
That makes us too. That makes us too. I remember when the first internet came and that was dialing, connecting the internet online, right? You remember
exactly. Oh, I definitely remember that. And you know, through my daughters, because I have two teenage daughters now,
Lovely.
they haven't lived at that age. So for them, it's so natural to be connected through their phone, through their computer. It's the world they live. But for me, comparing the two worlds, it's really fascinating how many people you can reach today all over the world and with so many ways, which is really amazing.
Conversation without you presenting yourself. That's cool. So I present you the mic within like 30 seconds. Can you define or introduce Zoe to our audience?
Okay, so let me see, because there are so many things I could say, but I will say that I am a mom. I am a person that really likes to see people light up, and I like to be part of this process. So that's why I became a coach. And I would say that I like to experience life. That's my big joy. And I would like to support others to do the same.
Wow, interesting. And especially when you say your firm or your business name is called Delicious Life Coaching.
Exactly.
This is the name of the business, right?
This is the name of the business,
well,
yes.
It sounds like foodie for me. Why, when you say delicious, right? So how about you explain more about the idea behind the name?
Yes. Thank you so much for this question, because it's one of my favorite things to talk about. Let me say that I started as a nutrition coach. That was my first certification back then. So I was coaching mainly women, but also some men in nutrition, everyday nutrition challenges. And then at some point I saw that I needed to go deeper, and that's why I did my second certification, which was the life coaching certification. So my origins are nutrition. I also love food. I come from a culture, I am Greek.
When you love food, we expect you to be fat and like tasting food.
No,
but no.
That's a big misunderstanding. If you love food, it doesn't mean that you have to shove it down your mouth. It means that you enjoy it. It means that you're savoring it. And it means that you really appreciate the flavors, the different flavors that you can taste. And let's say this is a metaphor for life too for me. And that's why I named my business Delicious Life, because Food can be delicious, but also a situation can be delicious. A relationship can be delicious. Your life can be delicious. Delicious is a word that I like to use for different aspects of life. And also my second clue is that life, my name, Zoe in Greek, means life. So I make this kind of connection. So delicious life. It just
Oh,
made sense to me.
lovely. Although let me get back to the very beginning of yours. Your bachelor degree was completely different, like in arts,
Yes.
political science, and then public administration, and you continued even in the international political economy. And after that, I noticed a big transition in your life towards coaching and getting multiple certification from international entities. And what, or let's say, when was that twist, and why was that transition in your life?
Yes. Let me say something first. I think the most stable and constant factor in my life is change.
Yeah.
It's evolving all the time. It's changing because I like to take things the way they come. So, like you said, I studied political science and international relations and did my master's on that too. Then, for 10 years, I worked as a communications executive in different corporate positions, and also I worked for Greenpeace. And
Yeah.
then, yes,
NGOs.
so yes, exactly. So my career, let's say my professional career back then in Greece was totally different or kind of different than my studies. And then as a family, we moved out of Greece. We went to Germany because my husband back then got a position there. So from being, from having my own job, from being without children, and from living in Greece, I moved to Germany without speaking the language. I had a baby with me and I didn't have a job. So it was a big transition for me at a culture that was very different than my culture, without knowing anyone and without speaking the language. So that was the beginning, let's say, of my self-discovery journey, because suddenly my identity, which was based on external factors like my career, my lifestyle, my home, collapsed. It was not there anymore.
Oh.
So I was a new mother with a baby, without my social environment, without my mom and my friends. And I had to figure it out all from the beginning. And for many years, I had my second daughter then. I was a mom, mainly a mom, and I was involved in my children's life. And at some point, I just said, okay, I need to find my identity again now. I need to know who I am, because until then, I was the mom of my daughters. And that's how I started thinking, what do I want? Who I am? Which are my values? What do I want to do with my life, my personal space, what it is? And that led me to all the things I did afterwards. And
sometimes this leads you to even get worse. When you think it too much, like, oh, I'm this much old now, and I think about it, and I did not accomplish anything in my own dreams or my own life. This, some people will take it a chance to go even down and feel bad about it. But
well, yes, that can happen, but I think that's the point where these people should ask for some support, because sometimes when we are in our own head, we can't see the possibilities and the options that live inside of us and that there are around us. So someone else can really support us see things in a different way. And back then, at the beginning, I also couldn't see things in a different way, but somehow I had it inside of me. By nature, I'm an optimistic person. So, I knew there were options and I looked for them by myself back then. That's why it took so long. But I think in today's world, like we were talking about before, the resources are so many around us. You just have to Google something,
family,
and even
friends.
family, friends, and also people that we don't know, and we can Google and we can find people that can support us. So I think we don't have an excuse in today's world to let's
Yeah,
say,
but
to
you know, sometimes
feel that we
trust.
don't.
I cannot just trust someone on Google, right?
Yes, definitely, and that's why you can do an initial conversation. You can talk with someone. You can get to know them. You don't have immediately to go and hire them, or immediately connect and do something with them. You have options, and for me, this is one very important element of life. You always have options, and the choice is yours. So
Nice.
you can see what's best for you and then go ahead and do that.
Let's go back to Zoe. You are living an example of no matter what, let's change. You accepted the change and moved forward to success or towards your dream. You
Yes.
evaluated as success. Other might have gone like, I studied politics and I invested my first stage in life in politics science, and I should continue because otherwise I lost already my invested time. If you were given the chance to go back in life or to that twist in your life, would you change anything?
No. I
No.
have a very ready question because I have asked myself and I have been asked many times this question. No. That was my path. That was my learning. And I really appreciate and value all the different things that I have done so far, because I am here now and I can say that my life was really interesting, was a journey, and it will be even more now. And by the way, you mentioned something before about the age. At any point of your life, you can start over, you can change. No one is confining you. You can really decide what you want to do, even if it's something totally different than what you're doing right now. Who says differently? I mean, you decide.
That drives me to another question. Like, okay, if age doesn't matter, so what's next for Zoe?
So for me, I see my path from now on as a process. More or less, I have formed my vision, but my vision can change in 2 years, in 5 years. I never take anything for granted. And right now, I love the work I'm doing with women. I am a woman that at many points in her life felt disempowered, felt I didn't have choices, or felt I didn't have resources, which is totally untrue. So right now, my purpose is to help women realize that all the resources they need are already inside of them, and just support them to pull them out and create a delicious life. Maybe in 5 years it will be different, but right now I'm very, very focused on that vision and that purpose.
I just love it. So that was very wise of you. You did not stick to a plan because you are now in the execution of your already set goals, which is perfect. Even if you are a teenager, you're just like following a dream. So I know the time is not to our side as always. We already crossed the 10 minutes. But as a wrap up, and you have the mic, just you have my audience. What do you like to say? Advice, question, ask.
Okay. So let me say, first of all, I think I told you the first time we met, I don't like to give advice. I'm not a person that likes to take advice, especially if I haven't asked for that. So I don't like to give advice. I would like to share the main principle of my life right now, which might inspire your audience. And this is that all the resources I need to make my life fulfilling and joyful are already living inside of my mind, my heart, inside of me. And I know that at any point I can pull them out and create. So I would suggest, let's say, or I would say to your audience that know that you have everything you need And if you need some guidance or some support, just look for the right person that will do that. It can be a friend, a family member, a coach, an advisor, but again, the choice is always yours.
Lovely. All right, that was it, and I have to wrap it up. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're interested to know more about Zoe and how she can help you by listening, and all her dedication now is towards helping women and even men in their business, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And how this can change your life. You can have this connection with Zoe. I'll provide the link. And that was me, Daniel Tokad, at Monday Talks with Zoe Rizokosta from Netherlands. Thank you, Zoe, for being with us.
Thank you so much, Daniel, for inviting me.
Thanks to all of you. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and support me if you like it. Thank you. Bye-bye.